And we're back on the People Chronicles with Richard Moore. And when we cut to the break, we were talking about when you were in York and your friend had come to you and said, Richard, this is what you need to do. This is how it has to be. Would you say that's when you were at your lowest point?
No, it was before that. Before I went to rehab, the way that I was living, this drugs and alcohol had took my family. I didn't know it. Took my wife. I had no clue of what was going on, but all I knew was I had to have a drink and a drug every day. No matter if I stole, cheated, robbed, it didn't matter. And my lowest of lows was when I turned around and I was living in an abandoned crack house cellar. I wore the same clothes for about maybe a month. I didn't shower. I didn't eat. All I did was come up out of the cellar to steal, cheat, and rob to get a fix. That was my lowest point, the way I was living. But the funniest thing about it is because I was living like that and I had a home to go home to. I couldn't make it to my home. It had a hold on me. And this is for the people who are listening. If it has a hold on you, there's a way out. Before I went to rehab, I just want to tell this one story. My wife gave me $2 to go get milk for my baby girl. I went out the front door and I walked to the bar and I got a beer before I bought the milk. I was gone for 8 months. We're still married. I owe a lot to her. She's a hell of a woman to hold on until I put myself back together, and which, from where I came from, living in abandoned houses, not bathing, and I sit here today trying to give back what was freely given to me. It didn't cost me nothing to get what I got. From AA and on and on. I've had some counseling, outside issues from my childhood. I mean, whatever problem I had, there was help. But I didn't know that in the beginning. So, we started at the beginning of my recovery. I think, my first 6 months, all I did was complain. Oh, nothing's right. I got PFAs, my kids, I don't see anybody. And it's always the old men. This wasn't Charlie. It was another old man, and I can't even remember what he looks like. And York pulled me to the side and said, Sonny, you're eating and sleeping every day. Isn't that better than where you came from? That was after 6 months of sobriety. And that's when I said, this thing's starting to work. So after a year in York, I came back down to Reading, and I was the very first client at Easy Does It on the Hilltop. I was the very first in there. There was nobody but me sleeping on the floor. The beds weren't even there yet. And this is where I started to get my sobriety, the way I give back. I owe a lot to Al Ekstrom, who told me, if you don't help another alcoholic, you won't stay clean and sober. I was terrified. I didn't want to go back to where I was. I started helping other alcoholics. So he said, put the furniture together, mop the floor. I started doing things at Easy Does It on the Hilltop. And within a year's time, it was time for me to go. But within that period of time, my kids had came back. My wife, we were talking. I wasn't allowed to go home. But things started to get just a little bit better. I wasn't employed. I didn't have a job. I think it was 2 years after I left the Hilltop. I went back to work for a company that I used to work for before. I went and told them that I was clean and sober. They gave me my job back that day. What's so funny about this is, as I stayed clean and sober, and I can remember some of the things that people used to tell me, when I couldn't get this thing. You're a good guy, You're a good worker. Rich, you got all this going for yourself. I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe any of this stuff that people was telling me. But after being clean and sober for a little bit, I saw it, you know. I wasn't doing the things I was doing because I wasn't drinking anymore. I wasn't hurting people or my family. I was going to work. And so I had saved up some money from working because I did bridge work. And Charlie told me, you need to do something with that money. And whenever Charlie spoke, I did it. So me and my wife got together. By this time, I'm at home with my kids. I'm clean and sober. I'm giving back. I'm taking people to meetings. And we decided to open up a halfway house, just like the ones that I came from. Because I don't know where the money came from. I don't know how this all became of. But we had money. We bought a new house. Things just seemed to start working out just like they told me they would by me not using. So we opened up a halfway house called Church Street Recovery. I went back to York. I talked to the owner of the house down there, and he told me how I should run this. So they're all old guys. It's just weird how I got all these old guys.
You're going to be an old guy one day.
Yeah, they call them old timers. So, these old guys directed me on what I should do, and I did it. So we opened up one house, Church Street Recovery. That ran for maybe 8 months.
And your wife is helping you open these houses as well.
Yes. It's me and her, and the kids see what we're doing. So I'm living a different life from where I came from to what we started to do. And then the neighbor next door sold us her house so we could open up another house. So here we are. I might have 4.5 years clean and sober, running 2 recovery houses, just like the ones I came out of in York, telling the guys just what I'm telling everybody right now. There's a way out. You do not have to live the way you're living, the way I had to live. That's what I should say. I didn't have to live like that anymore. And so we ran these halfway houses for about 7 years, me and my wife. But in that time period, I've had some old timers who I worked for told me I could start my own business. No, I can't. My wife said, yes, you can. The old timers said, yes, you can. They pushed me until I started my own business, which is called Patchman. It's a general contracting, and I swear I couldn't do it. But this is what I'm telling you. People see stuff in me that I just can't see. So I have to have an open mind and keep moving forward when people give me suggestions. Not all suggestions are good, but the ones that come from the people that are in my life, I believe them when they see something that I can't see. So here we are now. We have halfway houses. I'm running a general contracting business. My wife is by my side. My son is in the Marines. Before my son went to the Marines, that's just when I started to open the business. He helped me. We built a little shed out in back of our house, me and my son, and that's how I started my business, out of a little shed. And he went to the Marines, and I took the Bulldog from the Marines because my son was going to the Marines, and I put it on the side of the truck. That's for my son. So that all worked out. He's back and everything, and the business ran fine. That tears me up. To come from the lowest of lows and to start telling you the good stuff in my life, which is they're all blessings.
Absolutely.
They're all blessings from a God of my understanding who told me I don't have to live like that. So we ran the halfway houses. We had a business going, and my daughter was going to Temple. So we had to shut the halfway houses down because we couldn't afford to do both. It was either keep feeding 10 guys or not take care of your daughter. So we shut them down, And it's ironic that I'm doing this today because my daughter graduates this year, and we're absolutely thinking about opening back up the recovery houses. Because I've helped so many men, not me, the situation that we were in to help. So many men come out of jail and come to the halfway houses. They still call it Christmas and Thanksgiving. You know, I mean, there must have been hundreds of guys that I've got out of jail that have been in our recovery houses, and they still call me and my wife at Christmas and Thanksgiving and tell us thank you, that they're still clean and sober. That's the gift.
That's what makes you feel the best, when you hear from these individuals that come out on top and they're winners, and you had something to do with that.
I'm just an instrument. I'm a channel of God, that he blessed me. That's all. Because if I got what I should have got, I'd be in jail or dead, and I'm not. So I owe this all to a God of my understanding. And it's a blessing to be a part of and not the problem. You know, at one time, I was the problem, and I'm not.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Richard. Patchman, don't forget that. And is there a resource or something that you can let our listeners or viewers know of, whether it be a website, a phone number, a person's name, for someone who may be looking to go in the same direction as you, or can they contact you?
Oh, there's an AA hotline that will get you started right away to your first meeting, and that's how you get tied in with people. If you're sitting there and you're thinking you don't know what to do, there's a solution. All you have to do is get on the phone. AA, you can't miss it. NA, we have programs all over Reading.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You know, your wife, Michelle, is wearing wings, but she covers them up every day. I truly believe that.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
And also your daughter, Breland, and your son, Brandon, and Richard Moore with us today on the People Chronicles. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.